to start off the recording, John did say that if you use one of his templates for your Java project, that he will include the this projects feature with his templates. If you are creating your own, obviously you'll have to do that on your own. So I'll show you how all this works and comes together. So here, I'm on the Bitcoin repository. This is technically the ABC fork. I won't get into that, but this is essentially what they use now that it's implemented to track all their work. And you can see it's very basic. And everybody knows Bitcoin, right? So this is like, we have an in progress, later, and done. You can also add tabs, or what do they call them? They're like labels, something like that. I'll show you. And then this is also automated, so that way if you open an issue, it moves if you resolve the issue. And I'll show you guys all of that right here actually. So I've already created one. I've been messing around with it a little bit. You can assign people to specific things, and then you can also not only just create cards. This is technically a card right here. As you can see, it has this kind of like little text. It's different from this, right? Little exclamation mark. That's because this is the exclamation marks are issues. So if I convert this to an issue, now I get this where I'm like, make millions, right? Please, that would help. That would help. So now it's an issue. So if I go to my Issues tab, now I don't want to click off this, so I already have it open. I'll refresh this. Now we have Make Millions, see? So this is the purpose and like how you can incorporate issues with projects and just keeping on track with, you know, what you're doing, essentially. So if I come over here to Make Millions, we can see that it tracks exactly what's going on. But the really cool thing about this is now, if I take this and I say I'm working on it, automatically it says right here that I'm working on it. So this is one thing that you can do that will help you a lot with keeping track. You don't have to do issues. You can do just simple cards if you want, and then you can structure them from to do, in progress to done. I also watched this hour-long talk. Well, I got like 40 minutes through this guy who has a lot of experience with Kanban. He wrote a book on it. I'm not sure if he created it, but I was just listening to the way that he at Microsoft uses it, and it's really meant to be however you want to use it. It's not a very regimented, hard, structured system. It's really meant to just help you in the way you want to use it. So one example I had is, let's actually just create a whole new project so I can walk you guys through this. So I already have one. I'll create another one. So if you guys wanted, you could do this as well. And then, you know, just like main storyboard, you know, whatever. We're not going to dock you points if you don't name your word or whatever. So again, if you wanted to do that automated issue thing, that's what that I just showed you was. Is if you are creating and tracking issues, you can go ahead and do the automated Kanban. If you change your mind, I'm pretty sure you can also just do a basic Kanban and then implement tracking. So this is what you'll see when you initially load it up. I'll close that out. So you have your to-do. It has a little like, you know, hey, you can do all these cool things. So yeah, see automation. Let's see if I can't convert to an issue. Yeah. And then you would come over here and you'd manage automation. So now if I wanted to, I can implement all the automation that I had in the previous example. So that's how you automate with the issues and stuff. But the way you would use this, I have this example right here, the Quarter 2 Doctor app. If you guys remember, you have all these stories, right? So this is really what I want to drive home. This is going to come down to how you want to compartmentalize this and conceptualize it, because all you really need to do is just copy these user stories and just paste them into your to-do. So again, let me clear out some of these. Getting a little crowded. Boom. There we go. So as a user, when I go to the root route, I see a list of doctors available, right? As a user, like literally this is how you're going to use it at the very, very base, right? So then if somebody was to come on my project to the page, and then they were able to see like, oh, I have this in progress, and over here you could see that changes to purple. That means that we have, it's just like a visual indicator of what's been done. Gray is to do, purple is in progress, and green is completed. But if you wanted, whoop, you could come over here and do like doctor to, well, I would do doctor like stories or something like that, or back end stories, something, you know, like if you wanted to break them, all the stories down. So we could do something like doctor stories. Does it need a preset? Nah. Well, yeah, to do. Why not? Boom. So here's automation. You don't need to do any of this. You could literally just click it, and then we have doctor stories. So with Kanban, you want to make sure that you're always kind of working in a left to right fashion. But again, it really does kind of boil down to how you want to do everything. So if you want, you can have all your stories on the left. Appointment stories, right? And then over here we could do, you know, so right here we have the appointment stories, but then down here we have the doctor stories, right? So then I could take these doctor stories and paste them in here. And so this is a really easy way where I'm like, okay, I'm currently working on this one, and then that's done, so on and so forth. And then another good one might be stretch goals. There's not really a right way to do this. I recommend maybe keeping your stretch goals on the right, just to kind of like not obfuscate what you really should be working on. And then like as you finish and you're getting to your stretch goals, then you can come over here and you can preface it with stretch, add Google Play stuff, right? And so as I'm working through, I'm like, okay, I got this done, you know, blah, 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 that's cool, you know, that's done, da, da, da. Maybe then you could go ahead and take this and move that over there. So that way you're just keeping on with that flow. And then the last thing that I have for you guys that I learned from listening to this guy talk is he said that you always want to structure your boards in order of importance and keep like-kind concerns with each other. So like if this was like make calculator add function, you'd want to make sure that all the other things related to that, let me just cut, oh, can I copy it? Nope, okay. So then you would do like make calculator subtract function, right? You'd want to keep these together because they're doing the same thing. But what would probably be more important is something like actually code the calculator. Now that's much bigger and harder, but like this would stay on the top because this is much more important. We need to actually have the calculator before we can start doing these functions. So we want to make sure that our most important things are on the top. The most pertinent things are on the top, and then we bubble down to like the least important things on the bottom. So we start at the top, move it over, move it over, move it over, move it over, move it over. And again, there's no right way to do this. You can break these columns down into however many pieces you want. You can automate them with the issues. Yeah, that's a Kanban board. Like I said, it's kind of basic. It's just a quick and easy way to track your projects and stuff. And if you wanted to, you could do a very, very basic, just cards. And you can also keep it like this. So like if you don't want the stretch, you just wanted to do this. The biggest things I heard the guy say when he was presenting was you want to make sure it's top to bottom importance. So the most important things on the top, least important things on the bottom, and then you're working from left to right. So you start over here, you move it over. You start over, then you move it over, so on and so forth. This stuff gets a lot more complicated when you work with bigger teams. That's why when we go over to Bitcoin, we see like all these different tags. We can see that they're automated. It's showing who is opening these issues. So this is an open source project, so multiple developers can work on this. But you can see what they actually did is they have multiple projects. So instead of having like an enormous board for Bitcoin, they have all these like kind of like subcomponents that they've created these boards for. So if we go to a peer-to-peer refactor, we have a couple more columns, right? But it's not flooded. So this is what a bigger, like more production quality Kanban board would be like. But for all intents and purposes for you guys right now, just something like to simply track your work and keep, a database, just as to where you're at and what your progress is. This is a really great tool, and especially if you have a lot of user stories, this is going to help you stay on top of all the user stories that you've done and what you need to work on and so on and so forth. Any questions? That's pretty much it, because I mean I could sit here and show you, you just copy, paste. I know there was a typo. Copy, paste, right? So this is what you're not required to do this. I want to make sure you guys know that too. You're not required, but it's highly recommended because it's going to help you a lot. I've seen a couple projects that have multiple cards, or pardon me, user stories. They have a lot of user stories, right? So like if you had to mentally keep track of which stories you completed, like this would get kind of confusing, right? So I have had a couple proposals, I think that were somewhere up to 20. So here's where you get out your 20 cards. It doesn't need to be issues. And then it's like as you actually do them, you just move them over. So make millions is probably more important than everything else. Start working on that. If you do decide to convert these to issues and use automation, you can go ahead and see the issue on the right side. And then here are the labels. I forgot about that. So this is all that crazy stuff that we were seeing on the Bitcoin one. You can create your own labels. Let's go here. So like here, peer-to-peer, refactoring, up for grabs, needs rebase, all these things, those are the labels. So if I wanted, I could be like, big money, right? Let you do hex codes. Boom. So that's how they're doing that on the Bitcoin one. And then we can go and take a look at the actual issue, and it will show all the history of what I just did. So I created an issue from the card. I moved it from to do to in progress. I then moved it from in progress to do, and then back from to do and in progress, and then I added the label. So this is what you get access to if you decide to promote them to issues, but you don't have to create issues if you don't want to. And yeah, that's a basic Kanban board using the GitHub Projects tab. Any questions? Pretty basic.
Are you doing the basic Kanban or the automated?
Basic. You can promote it to an automated one at any time if you want. That's simply a matter of you just come over here. You find your board. And then you just click on this, Manage Automation. So this is what it would look like if you don't. I'll show you again real quick actually because it's pretty simple to just show you. So you go to New Project, and I will do the basic because I think, yeah, it says this is going to start me from scratch. I don't want to start from complete scratch, so we'll just start with basic. If you start with a blank one, you're not going to get the to do, in progress, and completed thing, so it's best to just do a basic. But this isn't automated out of the box per se. And so this is where you come in, you can delete all this stuff. But if you did want to implement automation, what you could do is you come up here, Manage Automation, newly added. We're not going to be messing with pull requests, so there we go. So move issues there when they're newly added. So let's go ahead and create a new issue. So I just created a basic board. Make sure you select the project. There we go. We'll give it the label of big money. And then we'll go submit it. See, now it's automated. So I started with a basic. You just manage the automation in the upper right. And then automation only works, as far as I know, with issues. So if you did want to automate them, you would have to do issues. And there's also this weird thing with issues where if the only way I could do this, so I just created this issue, right? And I want to start working on it. For whatever reason, I ran this by John too, he couldn't figure it out. You can't actually start working on it from the issues. So if I come over here, whoops, and I drag this over, that's where we'll actually see that change, right? But if I move this back, this is really weird, it bothered me. We see it goes back, but then the only way you could actually move that to the middle column from this is you have to close it. So I'll show you what that did. Oh, I don't have the done when automated. So if I had automation on, when, when an issue gets closed, it gets sent there. Let's see, does it do it? Nope. All right. And then actually, we have to turn on the automation for this one. So reopened. So this is the point I'm arriving at here. In order to get it to in progress from that issues window, you have to reopen it for some reason. You can't just select like I'm working on this. You have to actually open it, close it, and then open it, close it, then reopen it. So that's how you get it to the in progress tab. It's really weird. I think it's probably better to just come in here and just drag it over because it tracks that anyway. So let's see if I can't do this again. So we'll close it. Automated, reopen it, automated. Again, I don't really understand why there's no way to put it in progress at the beginning, but yeah. So yeah, if you start off with the basic board, it's really easy to add the automation, but with automation, you just have to make sure you're using issues. Any other questions? Pretty basic. Let me